Welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. As you know that last month we had our DAC Days annual symposium, and let me tell you, it was a fantastic meeting. We had some really great speakers. We had the breakout sessions again that we used to do. We had an opportunity to have some more one-on-one with different people during those breakout sessions. So if you were able to join, I'm sure you can attest to everybody how great it was. If you weren't able to join, I know it can be a challenge for a lot of people to get there because a lot of you have regular jobs and this is something you do on the side. But next year, I would definitely recommend trying to get to the DAC Days meeting. It really does make a huge difference. So what I usually do in April is a DAC Days recap. And actually, I'm going to separate it and I'll do Dr. Duran's presentation first. I'll do it tonight. And then next month, I'll do the presentation I did. RJ asked me to speak about the top 5 and why. So the top 5 DAC products and why I think that they are the top 5. It really was the top 6 because I wanted to give you a little something extra. I was thinking of doing both presentations together, but I thought, no, I really want to separate them because I want to allow enough time for you all to ask questions about some of the improvements and innovation that we've done over the last year that Dr. Duran spoke about. So, of course, he likes to tell a bunch of jokes, and we started out, we were going to talk about some of the things that we had fixed from years past, and then the 2 new products, the Fall Paste and the LQ, the liquid vitamin and mineral supplement. You know, last time Dr. Duran made it to the DAC Day Symposium, we launched the deer products. And so he said he wasn't going to talk about the deer products, but he, of course, showed a bunch of pictures of things that he had been hunting since he'd seen everybody last. Done a lot of international testing. Um, and then he thinks he's really funny. And he thought that it'd be really great to show these pictures of a wolf hunt that he went on. That he was trialing on canines because you wouldn't ever want to do human research, but he was trialing a growth enhancer that if we got the formula right, we would use it on RJ's new baby because he said Aubrey's so little, the baby's not going to get very big, but um, I'm sure that that baby will get just big enough. So first thing we started talking about was the DAC Cool Gut. I know that we've probably said about this. This wasn't a super new thing that we had changed, but the DAC Cool Gut previously was made and it was a whitish color and it was a little tiny pellet. So the product is designed to support gastric health, normalize the stomach pH, help repair damaged tissue. We wanted something that was going to work in the stomach and the hindgut. None of that changed. Oops. The key ingredients in the Cool Gut are L-glutamine, which is an amino acid, and that helps to heal that intestinal tissue when it gets damaged. The marine-derived calcium, calcite, what's in Outlast or any other kind of algae or marine-based calcium supplement. It's calcite and it has a honeycomb structure, and so it's very, very bioavailable. It's very, very good at buffering stomach acid. Live cell yeast culture, which is probably the safest broad spectrum probiotic that's available. Saccharomyces cerevisiae. FOS and MOS, these are prebiotics, so they are the food that feed those probiotics. DHA, which is omega-3 fatty acid, which helps with inflammation. Because we know if you've got some gastric ulcers, there's inflammation. Glycine, another amino acid that helps with mucus production. Any of you that have heard me speak, that my way of dealing with disorders is let's understand the disorder. Let's understand what natural mechanisms for protection the horse might already have, and let's try to boost those versus putting something artificial in. So glycine and whey protein concentrate, they act to increase the horse's own mucus production. So instead of feeding something like aloe vera or papaya, we're putting these in because instead of artificially trying to put mucus in, where the horse is now making its own mucus. We're encouraging more mucus to be produced by the horse. None of those things changed. But what were some of the problems that we had encountered? We thought we had them sorted out a few years ago when we made an adjustment, but whey protein is a milk byproduct and it can be pretty smelly. It had some palatability issues. So we changed the carrier to alfalfa and significantly reduced the actual just plain whey that was the carrier and added a different flavor. And that has significantly improved customer and horse perception. A lot of times horses would still eat it, but it was the customer that said, "Oh, this is horrible. I can't feed this to my horse." So much better smell. Now, what you'll notice is the different size and color of the pellet. It's a normal size pellet now. It's not a little micro pellet, and it's kind of a greeny brown color. It's got the exact same active ingredients. So the ingredients that are actually doing all the beneficial work are exactly the same. We're using a different manufacturer to overcome some of that pushback that we had, the smell and palatability issues. The other one was the pre-buff. So the pre-buff was a product that we launched several years ago, and we've really kind of chronically had issues with it. Getting hard in the jug, making a little excess gas, blowing the lid off the jug, some different things. So the idea with this product is it's fed prior to exercise to maintain the ideal stomach pH. It's the marine derived calcium, um, and it's helps to instantaneously, nothing else works instantaneously in our lineup. This works instantaneously to buffer stomach acid. So if you're going to go ride or trailer and you feed this, or you put in a syringe and put it in their mouth, it will instantaneously buffer that stomach acid so that you stop that splashing up onto the non-protected region of the stomach that will occur. So this is kind of an instant fix. Not going to do anything for tissue health, but it instantaneously buffers that stomach acid. This graph is some research that we had done at the University of Kentucky. And we did follow up. We've done studies again with this latest formula. So it still continues to be an excellent buffer. It's that marine-derived calcium is a very effective buffer of the threonine, which is an amino acid that also helps with mucin production. And these are going to instantaneously buffer that stomach acid. So pre-buff, within about 30 minutes, increases the, well, I should say, increases the, neutralizes the stomach acid, decreases the pH, so that it's in a safe range. It's above a pH of 4 and it's not causing any issues. So the issue that we had though was that pre-buff, we needed to stabilize the liquid for shelf life because the calcium, when we were testing it, it's so effective at neutralizing and mixing with whatever else you put in that jug that we ended up with this chemical reaction occurring. It was foaming, putting off a little gas, and it was getting really hard in the jug. So we had to overcome that. We've gone back and forth and gone back and forth, changed the preservative, got the same active ingredients, better shelf life. This still isn't a product that I would buy and have open it once and then use it in another 3 years. If you did that with something like the DAC orange, it's not going to go rancid. Maybe you lose a little bit of the effectiveness of the vitamins and minerals, and we certainly don't advocate that it's, got a shelf life of 3 years, but it's not going to react in any way. The DAC pre-buff, though, the longer that it would be exposed to air if you weren't using it over long periods of time, it may end up hardening. So we always recommend shaking it, but shelf life is significantly better on this product. So they were the main improvements that we made. We had to improve the cool gut and the pre-buff. Then we developed a new product. And the first product was for foals. Anyone that breeds knows that the most important thing is to get that foal off to a great start. But there are certain things that constantly seem to interfere with that foal getting that good start. Disease, diarrhea. An adult horse can get diarrhea and it's not going to die. A foal gets diarrhea, and that can very quickly cause death. They have a very limited immune function when they're born. So, what can we do to really boost their immune function, boost their microbiome, and give them a good start? So, in the foal starter paste, the key ingredients are bovine colostrum. You'll see that written in the ingredients as milk whey protein concentrate. Immunoglobulins, IgG, these are going to improve immune function and control inflammation. So any kind of inflammation in the gut, that inflammation is good. It brings nutrients to the area. But if inflammation becomes chronic, then we can actually start to see breakdown of tissue. So we want to control that inflammation. We want to boost the immune system of that foal immediately. So the pH, the GI Pro 3 that we've talked about over and over again it's the key ingredient in the foal starter paste. It inhibits those bacteria that cause disease. So Clostridia, Rhodococcus, Salmonella, Streptococcus. So the mare, let's say in perfect world, the mare's been on a supplement that's got the GI Pro 3 in it. Maybe the mare was on the DDA during her pregnancy. So in her body, we're limiting or minimizing those bacteria. We're going to minimize the shedding of those bacteria. They'll be killed off. So they'll be shedding more, but they'll be killed off. And so there'll be less in the environment, less um, that are going to affect the foal during foaling as well. A lot of these disorders, the foal actually will come into contact with when they're coming out of the birth canal. So the GI Pro 3 inhibits those bad bacteria. It's got moss in it, biomoss, which is a product we've used from Alltech for many years that we've had in our DDA and our Rescue Aid, and it's a prebiotic that binds harmful bacteria and assists good bacteria by feeding those good bacteria. It's a prebiotic. And then Yeast-Act, that live cell yeast, which is a probiotic that helps to proliferate those normal gut bacteria, right? So we have to put in some good bacteria to start that fall off, right? We have to feed those bugs so that they can eat. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to start that microbial population off correctly, and we're trying to start it off a little bit earlier than it normally would start. Glycine. This is an amino acid that reduces inflammation and promotes tissue repair. So in these poor little guys, if they get Clostridia and they get some diarrhea, if you do under a microscope look at a slide of the tissue that's in their intestine, it becomes very inflamed and starts to degrade. So we want to promote tissue repair. And then L-glutamine, which is another amino acid that we've got in the cool gut, and that helps to repair that tissue and boost immune cell function and health as well. So really an immune kickstarter. Another ingredient that we haven't used in any of our other products yet, but we think has some validity. We've seen some really good research studies, specifically in some in horses, but if we look at neonatal pigs or young calves in dairy industry or in the beef industry, where they are more stressed, then the beta glucan, which comes from the yeast cell wall, stimulates immunity when an animal is stressed. So we know, especially with a sick little guy like this, that their stress response has really kicked in, and that beta glucan can be really beneficial there. It activates immune cells. So immune cells are always in your body, but they have to get activated. They get activated when there's disease, or we can pre-activate them with something like the beta glucan, and that helps to fight off disease. So I think that that's a real nice inclusion, not something we have in any of our other products. So when we were developing this, I said, well, I don't want a giant 60 cc syringe, because anybody who's worked with a fold know it's a wiggly little thing. And you got to hold the fold, hold its mouth open, and you got to be able to stick that syringe in its mouth at the same time. So it's a single tube dose, right? 30 cc's, 30 grams is a single dose, because I also don't love when we just use a little bit and then we put the cap on, and maybe in 6 months time we use it again, or in another year we use it again when foaling season comes around. I want the whole tube used, right? So for newborn foal, we recommend 1 tube a day on days 3, 4, and 5. Now, one of the questions that came up a lot was, why not on days 1 and 2? What we want is, we don't want to interfere with the natural connection between the mare and the foal, and that natural absorption of colostrum, that nursing and absorbing colostrum, right? We don't want to interfere with that. If the foal is born and it's a train wreck and it's not nursing, or the mare's not milking very well, by all means, feed it on days 1, 2, and 3. But general, everything's fine. We just want to give this little foal a kickstart. We're going to do it 3, 4, and 5. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it on day 1 and 2. We just really didn't want to interfere with that natural bonding. Now, a growing foal, if we are going to vaccinate them, we're going to travel them, trim, weaning, all of these things are things that we're timed. We know that they're happening. We know when they're happening, and we know that they can cause stress to this animal. It's probably its first time of having huge stress. So we recommend 1 tube a day for 3 consecutive days prior to that stressful event. And that will just boost their immune system so that they can handle that stress. Because the last thing you want is them going off feed or stopping to nurse. So this can really help. Foal diarrhea can be caused from a whole slew of different reasons, but diarrhea in a foal can be very detrimental. So 1 tube per day while the diarrhea persists. Now, that does not, if your horse foal has diarrhea, feeding it a tube of foal starter paste does not replace calling the vet. There might be some more underlying issue that we're concerned about. Next supplement, the DAC LQ Performance. So over time, the idea is potentially we come up with more of a liquid line. So right now we have the DAC LQHA, liquid hyaluronic acid, and then this fits into that new line of the DAC LQ Performance. It mimics the total performance in a liquid form. Some horses don't love powder or granular supplements. If you're feeding non-molest or pelleted feeds, that's hard to get them to stick. So this is really a convenience-based product for facilities that wanted to have the liquid option, right? You go down the barn aisle, pump, pump, pump on forage pellets, on oats, whatever you're feeding, you can add the LQ Performance. But like I said, it mimics the total performance. And I've even put it the same color label. 100% chelated trace minerals, so your copper, zinc, selenium, organic selenium, added lysine, not enough lysine added that it's going to replace feeding a good quality hay or getting protein out of the diet. But we know that with these adult performance horses, any way we can get some better quality protein is good. Chromium. We've talked about chromium and how it's really good for the metabolic horse, also really effective for a broodmare and for a performance horse. It's going to unlock more fuel that they can use to boost their immune system, to recover, and to perform. Added B vitamins, because horses that are performing heavily, the bugs in the hindgut make B vitamins. But if those bugs aren't functioning that well because the horse is under a bit of stress because he's exercising heavily, then extra supplementation or fortification of those can be very beneficial. Strawberry banana flavor, so should be very palatable. Gallon jug comes with a pump. For a performance horse, the feeding directions are 4 ounces, which is 4 pumps per day with your unfortified grains. So a diet like this, we have 1,000-pound horse doing moderate exercise. Maybe he's getting 15 pounds of Timothy, 4 pounds of alfalfa, 6 pounds of oats, a little bit of free choice salt for him to lick on, and 4 ounces of the liquid performance, LQ performance. You can see the diet's nicely balanced. So we've revitalized 2 products, the DAC Cool Gut and the DAC Pre-Buff. Really, the Cool Gut was based on feedback that it was getting a little unpalatable, sometimes a little bit of a smell. It wasn't all the time. It was just with some horses. So, we thought, okay, well, we'll do an alfalfa base because alfalfa gives us good quality calcium as well. And that because we changed manufacturers, that changed the pellet size. The pre-buff, we'd had some issues with it, so we tried some different chemistry and different preservative, and we think we've got that one squared away. Both products, so nothing of the original active ingredients that made it what it was changed. So they're still the exact same selling points. We've just improved some of the extra criteria. DAC Foal Starter Pace stimulates immune function, maintains healthy gut, assists foals through stress. They're your 3 selling points right there. Okay. Stimulates immune function, maintains healthy gut, assists foals through stress. Ooh. And the DAC LQ Performance, it's a liquid vitamin and mineral, easy to use with pellets or non-molasses feeds, excellent palatability. Right? Excellent palatability. So really a convenience-based product. A lot of your liquid products are a bit more just convenience, but it's got all the bells and whistles, all the technology in there. So with that, I'll take any questions. And I've seen a lot of questions, so I'm just going to turn the recording off.